Hello everyone and welcome to my channel.
While people die every day, the manner in which they pass is not always the same. In this video, we'll look at stories of people who died, only to have their bodies remain undiscovered for years. Some deaths go unnoticed due to the deceased's extreme isolation. Others are deliberately concealed to avert a police investigation. In more rare circumstances, people die from unpredictable environmental conditions and the bodies become naturally hidden. 10 times bodies were found years after death. It's a horrible thought that someone could lay dead in their house for days or weeks before being found. Unfortunately, this happens a lot more than it should. Rather more disturbingly, however, are the cases where dead bodies are not found for years after the person has died. It's practically unthinkable, yet it does happen. Number 10. Pia Ferren. It sounded like Pia Ferren had a pretty great life, one where family members were used to not hearing from her for years at a time, according to the Detroit Free Press. The family would suddenly receive a postcard from Ireland, Italy, Amsterdam or Austria from her travels. So when they heard that Ferrenkopf's body was found in her home 5 years after her death, it must have been quite a shock. Her body had mummified and was frozen to the back seat of her car in her garage. Police still haven't solved her case and believe it was either a medical cause or suicide. Number 9. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood was a bit of a recluse. She had lived in the same terrace house, which was just meters from the city's bustling central station, which appeared abandoned by the time she was found, where she was born in 1924. She moved in with her brother and his wife for a few years until 1997, when she moved back into her home. Her brother was then diagnosed with dementia. Wood later told her brother that she had been diagnosed with a brain tumor and the communication slowly stopped. She even got to a point that she would answer the door only with a special knock. Natalie was found in 2011, 8 years after her death, with police believing that she died a few months after the diagnosis. The media dubbed her as the woman Sydney forgot. Number 8. Joanne Nichols. In 2013, a construction worker accidentally unearthed the remains of Joanne Nichols, who was 55 during her time of death. Someone had hidden Nichols' body behind a false wall in the basement of her former home in Poughkeepsie, New York. Nichols' husband, James, had reported her as missing in 1985. The medical examiner determined the cause of death as blunt force trauma. The body was skeletonized and the hands were tied with rope. A large area of the right side of her skull was also missing. Investigators suspected James for Nichols' murder, but he had passed away shortly before the discovery of his wife. Number 7. John and Sabine. Reportedly, John and Leigh and Sabine abandoned their 5 children in New Zealand in 1969. The couple, under false names, quickly moved to Australia. When they returned to New Zealand in 1984 to see their children, the daughters reported them to the police. The couple again relocated and settled in South Wales. Leigh Ann died in 2015 from cancer. Reportedly, no one had seen John since 1997. After Leigh Ann's death, authorities unearthed his remains from his wife's garden in Bezai, Wales. Someone had wrapped his body in plastic sheets. Detectives determined his injuries were consistent with an assault and ruled the case of death as blunt force trauma. Welsh authorities considered the deceased Leigh Ann as the primary suspect. Number 6. Carla Root race. In 2013, Carla Root race went missing. Hikers didn't discover her body in the back of a Mitsubishi Galant until 2015. Race, a 52-year-old Yucca Valley woman, reportedly left her cell phone at home before driving out to an isolated part of California's Highway 62. Her surviving family believes she took her own life, and medical examiners determined no foul play. Number 5. David Walker. David Walker was well known and liked by both friends and neighbors. He told them he was moving states in 2007. Instead, he shot himself in his home, where his body lay a full 4 years before being discovered. Number 4. Larry Ellie Murila Moncada. The decomposing body of Larry Ellie Murila Moncada was originally discovered the morning of January 24, 2019, as contractors were removing freezer units from the former No Frill supermarket at 1817 West Broadway in Council Bluffs. Police at the time said that the body appeared to have been there for many years. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation identified him using DNA collected from Murila Moncada's biological parents. An autopsy showed no signs of trauma to Murila Moncada, and the death has been ruled accidental. The grocery store had been closed for about 3 years at the time of this discovery. Police say that Murila Moncada's parents reported him to be missing on November 28, 2009, when he became upset and ran out of their home. Investigators believe Murila went into the store where he had been working the day shift at the time of his disappearance after leaving his home, and may have climbed on top of the coolers from where he fell into a gap between the back of the units and the wall that measured about 18 inches and became trapped. It would have been almost a 12-foot fall, and the noise of the freezer units would have made it difficult to hear any cries for help. Number 3. Simon Allen. Simon Allen, a bit of a loner apparently, was found by cleaners in 2013, 3 years after his death. He was wearing only socks and was collapsed behind an armchair. 11 days before the discovery, his landlord and bailiffs had gone to the first floor property to check why his rent had not been paid for several months. Neighbors said that there had been a musty smell in the hallway outside his flat before his body was found, but nothing more unusual than that. Police said they believed that Mr. Allen had died in December 2010 when he would have been aged around 50. They were unable to trace any family or friends and found very few personal items in the flat which Mr. Allen had rented since 1999. Number 2. Barbara Salinas Norman. Barbara Salinas Norman was an activist, author, and publisher. When she died aged 70, her body lay in her home for a whole year before she was found. By the time her body was discovered on 8th May 2013, it was so badly decomposed it was said to have been mummified. A tragic end to a life which once sparkled with creativity and passion in the cause of Mexican Americans. A preliminary autopsy report suggested Salinas, who had wrote bilingual books and was part of the Chicano movement's civil rights advocacy, died of natural causes. The question remains how she died, not but how neighbors, relatives, and former colleagues remained oblivious for so long. Her brother-in-law Louis Ponce found the body after he and his wife Edna, Salinas' sister, drove from their home in California to check on her after 2 years of unreturned phone calls and letters. Number 1. Joyce Carol Vincent. In 2006, while in the process of repossessing a home, London police discovered the body of 38-year-old Joyce Carol Vincent. Prior to her death, Vincent had cut off nearly all contacts with those who knew her. She resigned from her job in 2001 and moved into a shelter for victims of domestic abuse. Around the same time, she began to reduce contact with friends and family. She died in her bedsit around December 2003 with neither family, co-workers, nor neighbors taking notice. Her remains were discovered on 25th January 2006 with the cause of death believed to be either an asthma attack or complications from a recent peptic ulcer. Medical examiners determined she died over 2 years prior. According to the police, she was found on her couch. The television set was still on, tuned to BBC One, and a small pile of unopened Christmas presents lay on the floor. Authorities identified Vincent from her dental records, and her death inspired a 2011 docudrama, Dreams of a Life. Most people wish to be able to pass away and get laid to rest peacefully. A lot of them even let friends or families know what they want to happen to their remains after their death. This may include cremation, burial, or even taxidermy in some cases. What no one may ever wish for is to die alone and to never have their remains laid to rest.
Hello everyone, this is Ria Matus and thank you for watching Broadcasting. If you like what you just saw, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon next to it so that you know when I post a video next. Please like the video and leave your comments below. So until next time friends.